Imagine a world suddenly plunged into darkness. Not the darkness of night, not even the darkness of a stormy afternoon, but a dim, eerie twilight that never seems to fully lift. This is the story of the year 536, perhaps the darkest, most mysterious year in human history. A time when the sun vanished from the sky, leaving humanity to wonder if it would ever return. This wasn't a temporary eclipse. It was a year-long dusk that changed the course of civilization. Welcome to What If They Lied, where truth hides behind whispers and stories come alive in the dark. Every episode takes you deep into the real, the lost, and the almost forgotten. So, sit back and listen closely, because sometimes the truth isn't what they told you, it's what they never wanted you to find. In the spring of 536 AD, something went terribly wrong. Across Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia, a strange, persistent fog descended. The sun, once a brilliant, life-giving orb, became weak and pale. Contemporary writers, like the Byzantine historian Procopius, described it as a mere shadow or a faint coin in the sky, shining without its usual brilliance, as if it were in a perpetual state of eclipse. For 18 long months, this mysterious veil lingered. Days were indistinguishable from night, and a chilling gloom settled over the land. Imagine stepping outside one morning, expecting the warmth of the sun, but instead, you feel a deep, unnatural chill. The air is heavy, the light is dim, and the world has lost its color. This was the reality for people in 536 AD. Summers turned bitterly cold. Historical records from China describe summer frosts and snow falling in August. In Ireland, the chronicles state that there was a failure of bread from the year 536 until 539. Farmers watched helplessly as their crops withered in the fields, unable to grow without sunlight. Rivers and lakes froze unusually early, and the natural rhythms of the world were thrown into chaos. What could have possibly caused this sudden, terrifying change in the heavens? The consequences of this prolonged twilight were immediate and catastrophic. With crops failing across continents, famine swept through the Byzantine Empire, the Middle East, and Northern Europe. Food became scarce, and what little was available skyrocketed in price, leaving the vast majority of people to starve. Some historians estimate that hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people died from starvation alone. Entire communities were wiped out. Desperate people were forced to eat roots, bark, or whatever they could find to survive. But famine was only the beginning of the nightmare. The chilling climate and widespread malnutrition weakened populations, making them incredibly vulnerable to disease. Just a few years later, in 541 AD, the first great pandemic struck, the Justinian Plague. This devastating outbreak of bubonic plague swept through the weakened Byzantine Empire and beyond, claiming the lives of an estimated 25 to 50 million people, perhaps half the world's population at the time. It was a domino effect on a global scale. The darkened sun led to cold, which led to famine, which led to disease, which led to mass death. In the face of such an unprecedented crisis, societies began to fracture. Political unrest grew as rulers struggled to maintain control over starving, desperate populations. Riots broke out, and governments teetered on the brink of collapse. The social order was unraveling. People at the time had no scientific explanation for what was happening. Many believed it was a sign from the gods, a divine punishment for their sins. They whispered of curses and omens, looking to the heavens for an answer that never came. For them, it was truly the end of the world. So, what really happened in 536 AD? For centuries, this dark year was a historical mystery, but modern science has begun to piece together the clues. The leading theory points to a cataclysmic volcanic event, or perhaps a series of them. Geologists and climate scientists believe that one or more massive volcanic eruptions spewed enormous amounts of ash and sulfate aerosols into the stratosphere. This dense cloud of debris acted like a planetary sunshade, blanketing the northern hemisphere and blocking a significant portion of sunlight from reaching the Earth's surface. The evidence is compelling. Scientists have analyzed tree rings from ancient oaks and other long-lived trees. During the years following 536, the rings show extremely slow, almost non-existent growth. This is a clear indicator of a dramatic drop in temperature and reduced sunlight, a period now known as the Late Antique Little Ice Age. Even more definitive evidence comes from deep within the ice sheets of Greenland and Antarctica. By drilling ice cores, researchers can analyze layers of ice that have been preserved for thousands of years. In the layers corresponding to the mid-6th century, they found a significant spike in sulfate deposits, a chemical fingerprint left behind by volcanic eruptions. One potential culprit is a massive eruption in Iceland. Another theory points to a volcano in the tropics, possibly Krakatoa, or another in the Indonesian archipelago. A tropical eruption would be powerful enough to spread aerosols across both hemispheres. Some even speculate it could have been a double whammy. Two major eruptions in quick succession, one in the northern hemisphere and another in the southern, creating a truly global catastrophe. The Earth itself had reacted violently, reminding humanity that we exist at the mercy of forces far beyond our control. The effects of this dark period didn't just last for a year or two. They echoed for decades, transforming the world. With repeated crop failures, famine and malnutrition became a chronic problem, potentially stunting the growth and weakening the health of entire generations. Social unrest intensified. As resources dwindled, wars and migrations became more frequent. People moved in desperate search of food and more hospitable lands, leading to clashes and the redrawing of cultural maps. Some empires that were already facing internal struggles, like the Eastern Roman Empire under Justinian, were weakened irreparably by the combination of famine, plague, and political instability. Some cultures and communities may have disappeared entirely, their stories lost to the shadows of history. But even in this immense darkness, humanity endured. People adapted. Communities found new ways to share scarce resources. Knowledge of survival, of which plants were edible in a pinch, spread from person to person. New religious and cultural movements also emerged as people desperately sought answers and solace for their suffering. The world that came out of the shadows of 536 AD was not the same one that went in. History was being rewritten not in books by scholars, but in the gritty, day-to-day struggle for survival by ordinary people living through an eternal twilight. So, what does this ancient catastrophe, this year without a summer, teach us today? It serves as a stark reminder that our civilization, with all its advancements, is incredibly fragile. The sun, the star we see every single day and take completely for granted, is the delicate engine of all life on Earth. A single geological event, a series of volcanic eruptions, was enough to nearly bring the world to its knees in the 6th century. It forces us to ask some uncomfortable questions. What if something similar happened today? We have global supply chains, advanced medicine, and sophisticated technology. But would that be enough to save us? A volcanic winter could cripple global agriculture, leading to worldwide famine. It could disrupt transportation, communication, and energy grids. Would our interconnected world be our saving grace, or would it simply cause the collapse to happen faster and on a wider scale? Would we face a new dark age, a world where billions struggle for survival under shadowed skies? The story of 536 AD, the day the sun disappeared, is more than just a fascinating historical anomaly. It is a warning from the past, a reminder of our planet's power and our own vulnerability. It's a story that continues to captivate scientists, historians, and anyone who dares to imagine what it would be like to live in a world that has forgotten the sun. So next time you step outside and feel the warmth of the sun on your face, take a moment. Remember the year 536 AD, the year the world was plunged into a twilight that lasted 4 months, and ask yourself, just how resilient is our modern world? Really? Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories from the forgotten corners of history. You've been listening to What If They Lied? If the story moved you, share it. Let it breathe again. Subscribe for more untold histories, more real voices from the shadows. And remember, in every rumor, there's always a trace of truth. Until next time, keep questioning, keep listening.